Shannon the Dude, Dave. You know you love your Shannon the Dude. So here we go. You got me on my monthly VH kick. Great February pod. I got in my car and I hit shuffle on the Van Hagar mix and all the talk of being jerks to Mike. The placement of Mike just jumps out at me now. It says, although I imagine they are just mimicking this. But even that said, they played a few shows without Ringo, including an entire Australian tour with a replacement drummer. I don't even know what he's talking about here. He's
talking about the Beatles.
Oh, yeah, no, the Beatles. Yeah, he just didn't say them, though. I got you. Okay, relax. Take it easy. Yeah. So maybe they were just...
How many Ringos do you know?
No. I just... All right, relax. I thought he was reffing. All right, whatever. So maybe they were just letting Mike know he's Ringo. Number 2, did Quieter Dave really say he held off on buying OU812? That surprises me. I need the details. Number 3, has anyone put this on your radar? The Star Trek Picard, they met up with a guy named Captain Rios. Rios has his ship La Serena painted like this. And then he sent a picture. I don't know. Every month I got a laugh out of hearing the mailbag, and I had forgotten I even emailed. Oh, boy. Shannon the Dude. And he was also, you know what he was talking about? The photo about the Beatles, where it was the cover of OU812. I should have said that. I cut the photo out for some reason because I'm a fucking moron. So, yeah, the cover of OU812 is a mimicking them doing Meet the Beatles. So, yeah, Mike is in the Ringo position, which is a little drop down. So, I don't know. I never was crazy about that cover. I thought that was kind of like stale. Especially for a fucking rock band. I was like, what the fuck, man? I didn't get that. What did you think of that cover, Dave? And give us some insight on your holding off on buying OU812.
That was the album that almost lost me with the band. It was. I mean, I did not hear, I don't think I heard Black and Blue on the radio, which was their first single, but didn't do all that well. No. So when you start hearing When It's Love and Finish What You Started and stuff like that, I was just like, man, where did my band go? And I had no desire to hear the rest of the album. And when I finally did buy it, I mean, it was like years later. I mean, it was after For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge came out. I remember I got it at like a sidewalk sale for $5 or something that. And like, you know, I think we've discussed this before. Like the guitar songs really didn't move me all that much.
Yeah.
When OU812 came out, I had been a fan of the band for maybe like about 4 or 5 years. I joined the Van Halen bandwagon around 1984. Right. I think I fell in love with Diver Down, but I didn't really know it until 1984. It took me a few years, and then I caught up with all their stuff. But I'm telling you, that album, that was the one, they almost lost me. If For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge hadn't come out and been a Kick A-double-S rock album, I don't think I'd be doing this podcast with you now.
Now, how do you look back on OU812? Do you ever listen to it?
Sometimes, but it's not a go-to album for me.
What's your favorite song on that album?
That would be Apolitical Blues.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, it's true. I mean, because it's just, and I know that I'm probably one of only like 1 million people who picks that as the favorite song.
You are nuts. Okay.
On the album. But like to me, like the guitar songs are either like repetitive of their old stuff. The mix is terrible. It's just, I don't know. The album does not do much for me. To me, it's their worst album with Sam, easily. And in terms of the whole Van Halen catalog, regardless of who the singer is, that album falls to the bottom for me. That's just my opinion of where the album is.
You got it. There you go. You got it, Shannon. It's all right there in a teacup. All right, so letter number 12 comes from Bob Yaroshevsky, and he says, hey, guys, great podcast. I don't know when I started listening, but I started at episode 1 and have recently caught up. I am now listening to the latest 50 best and worst. I am glad to hear that the David Lee Roth tour with Kiss is getting good reviews. Here is one I read the other day. You probably read it, but here's the link anyway. Keep up the great work. Bob Yaroshevsky. It's amazing to me, Bob, how well David Lee Roth is being reviewed. Not that he's not doing well, he's doing great, but it's amazing. People are really going out of their way to stand up for Dave and really give him props on this tour. Especially maybe because his last tour was the 2015 tour where he was getting slogged, and now he's really getting a lot of great reviews, and he is going on social media and just having a blast. This guy is putting up photos with little quips, and Dave, he's kicking higher and higher. It's unbelievable. I have a shot of him with his leg like extended right up. I don't know how he's doing it. He's 65 years old and he's had a lot of back ailments and stuff. I do not know how he's doing it, but I think it's pure adrenaline, and I think he's loving every minute of it, and he is scraping the mustard from the bottom of the jar at this point, I would imagine. What do you think?
I don't think he's scraping. I think this is prime mustard.
Oh, okay.
I think you're right. After the slogging from 2015, he's taking some feedback and taking some advice and working at it, and I just love the fact that he's really getting some good reviews, because he was getting beat up all the time, every time. So the fact that people are like, yeah, it sounds decent and it's a good show, I mean, that's awesome for him. I mean, because of the coronavirus, it had to stop a few shows short.
Yeah.
But the guy's been riding high for like about the past month or two. So I think that's awesome. I'm so happy for him.
That's cool. Letter number 13 comes from Johnny Booth from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And he says, hey guys, you might remember me as the guy who incorporated Van Halen into my wedding last summer. The good news, we're still married, even after moving into a new house and turning my basement into my own personal 5150. She hasn't left me. Anyway, enjoying listening to the 50 best/worst Van Halen moves. One question, didn't Ed not show up for the Rock Hall induction because he was in rehab? I think I recall Sam and Mike alluding to it in their speeches. If so, Al probably didn't show because of his tight relationship with his brother, and maybe their being there without Ed didn't feel right. I also think Ed's nickname for Mike was Soft Soboleski. Finally, I picked up Andrew Bennett's book, Eruption in the Canyon, and I highly recommend it. The stories are great and the photos are amazing, particularly when Ed goes off about Mike and Sam. Curious if you guys have read it and what your takeaways are. Finally, any plan for Andrew to return? Would love to hear him again. Till next time, boys, stay frosty. Johnny Booth, Fredericksburg, Virginia. Well, Johnny, I thought he called him Sneaky Soboleski, but I thought that's what Eddie said. But anyway, we had Andrew on and we did a whole big splash for his book, and we're happy to promote it. But we have other stuff we want to get to. We don't want to just it's not fair if we do multiple episodes with the same guy, and we also want to keep it fresh. But the book is great. It's highly recommended from us. He did a great job. Definitely go out and get it. Eruption in the Canyon for sure. Any comments, Dave?
Good book. And I've read other positive reviews about it, so if you can find it and still get it, go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Letter number 14 comes from, oh no, here we go. Here he is, Dave. He's always somewhere in the middle.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's
Midwest fucking Ron. Letter number 14, in case you didn't know, the replacement guitarist is Jake Fawn, and he announced himself as part of the band on January 24th, less than 2 weeks after we saw them. No idea yet who the new drummer is. And then he said, nice list of VH moves in the last cast, but surprised to see non-existent fan communication missing from your list on the 25 worst moves. Van Halen was way more communicative in the 90s. Just look at the official website. It hasn't been updated for close to 5 years, and even the Van Halen merch store has been shuttered. Their store, not the Van Halen store run by Jeff Hausman. Midwest fucking Ron. All right, so we got away unscathed on that. Just a little grazing there. little grazing. But
Well, he raises a good point.
No, he does.
Just like one of the earlier listeners that raised a good point. I mean, we had to narrow it down to 25.
We did. That's for sure. No, I will definitely consider that as one of the worst moves. For sure. Yeah, they're definitely piss poor communication. The website's like a ghost land. How do you just leave your website like that? I mean, it's just amazing to me. It's true. You're right, Ron. As usual, you are right. And I just want you to know, happy 316, Ron. All right. So letter number 15, I had to get my jollies in there. Letter number 15 comes from Josh Coble. He says, hey guys, Josh here from North Carolina. I was just curious about something. I know that the Live Right Here, Right Now album is not fully live, and that has become knowledge to fans since Sammy admitted to basically recording the whole thing. But my question is, do you guys know specifically what was re-recorded as far as songs and parts? The reason I ask is because although the DVD has parts from 2 different nights, there are obvious parts that aren't live with the music or the vocals you are hearing. There are also parts and songs that are obviously live and they don't match up. All the solos, for example, are definitely live, including the Pleasure Dome. In fact, during Eddie's solo on the tremolo, picking up a high part on the neck, on Eruption, Eddie makes 2 mistakes. You can see him shake his head when it happens on the DVD. If it was re-recorded, they obviously would have fixed that. So do you know what was re-recorded, what specifically, what doesn't? Thanks in advance. Love the podcast, Josh Coble. Josh, I don't even think Sammy or anybody in the band knows, to be honest with you. I mean, if you sit down with the album, you could probably, pick it out, but it's almost impossible to decipher for a listener. You need to ask Sam. I think would probably be the best person because he seems to have the clearest memory in regards to it, but I'm not sure. Do you happen to know, Dave, specifically?
I don't know for a fact, but I don't know if I would go with Sam as a go-to guy.
Really? Okay.
Because, well, he doesn't always get everything right.
Well, I think it was traumatic for him, so he might remember.
Well, he's a little biased, too.
And he's a little older.
But I will, from what I mean, this is all from Sam's book. But so Sam had claimed that Ed and Al were re-recording stuff.
Right.
And since they had re-recorded stuff, Sam had to re-record his vocals so it didn't sound like he was off.
Right.
So it sounded to me like the only person who didn't re-record was Mike.
Right.
Because apparently, I guess, they didn't care if he sounded good or not.
I guess so.
Which to me is like shooting yourself in the foot in terms of having the band sound good together. But I mean, I certainly never noticed anything on the live album. I was like, wow, the bass player is really off from the rest of the band. I certainly never thought that about Mike. So that's my understanding. If you're asking me which song or which part of the songs, I couldn't even tell you. And like you said, who knows? I mean, I think Sam said he went in there and redid the vocals in one shot for the whole show from beginning to end.
Yep.
I don't know if that's true or not. And even if it is true, who knows if they used all his re-recorded vocals or some of them.
Right, that's what I thought, yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you.
I know. I that just seems like such a mess. It upsets me every time I hear it. Letter number 16 comes from our friend Paul Davis. Dave, and he says, hey guys, I really enjoyed your Van Halen top 50 list. Well thought out. On a non-Van Halen subject, you were talking about Eddie Money, one of my favorites, by the way, and the Unplug It In EP, which is really, really great. I discovered Trinidad from that album. Is there any hope that we'll ever get the entire concert, or is there a bootleg of the concert out there? Best regards, Paul Davis. Well, Paul, this is something that Dave has been searching for forever, right, Dave?
Oh, my God. This was my favorite letter by far. Paul, you and I are on the same page, man. Yeah. Because I will tell you that Dave and I have seen Eddie Money live quite a few times.
A lot. Yeah.
And we've actually even met Eddie Money more than once backstage. I mean, Dave, you met him more than I did. But it seemed like every time I went with you, like half the time we were backstage hanging out with the Money Man.
Yep.
And I flat out asked him once, hey, why did you only do an EP? And one of my favorite Eddie Money songs is My Friends, My Friends.
That's right.
The first time I saw Ed was on the acoustic tour he did for that album.
Yeah, at the Chestnut Cabaret in Philly. Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. And so then the next time we saw him, or sometime after that, I said, hey, how come you didn't put My Friends, My Friends on the acoustic album? I mean, his answer was a very fair answer. He said, you know what? The song itself on the studio album is acoustic already. So really, I'd just be doing the same thing again.
Oh.
So that's why I chose not to put that one on it. And I really couldn't argue with him because, he's Eddie Money and he's the money man. But yes, I have been, not that I've been writing in, but I have been wishing and wishing and wishing that the whole